Hi, good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to the first episode of the Bucket Podcast. So, before starting, what is Bucket Podcast? It's a show where we pick a topic, pick a niche, explore about it for a few weeks. We develop, we bring people on board from different areas. And right now, we are starting with content creation because it is start of our journey. And we are going to explore different areas of content creation, like how to distribute your business via content creation, which equipment should one use, how should one budget their podcast or any other content creation form, what are the legal aspects that are included, and how can one develop business and how can they monetize it. So today we are with Mr. Puneeth Surana, who is the host of the Galata Podcast. So hi Puneeth, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Akshat, for having me on the show.
Thank you, you're welcome. And Puneeth, why don't Puneeth is host of the Galata Podcast. He has onboarded great Indian people like Nikhil Kamath, Kishore Biani, Ankur Variku. So, and this is what inspired me to bring Puneeth on board. So, Puneeth, why don't you give us more introduction first?
I have always been tinkering around things. I started 3 companies, ran them into the ground, then started a podcast to figure out how I can develop and become a better entrepreneur and businessman. Education-wise, I've done my BBA and MBA, and education-wise, I've done my undergraduate in business and MBA in business as well. So that's an overall view.
Okay, I'm also BBA and MBA grad. So that's nice to see people getting into podcasting. So you said 3 businesses. So
Yeah.
can you tell us about those 3?
Yeah, the first was in gaming. I started it in my 8th standard.
8 standard.
Yeah, I was really hooked on to gaming from the age of I think 8 or 9, and it really became a passion.
Okay.
So I built a gaming company, tried to scale it up, failed my 8th standard, so I had to shut it down. I still remember my dad taking my laptop and throwing it against a wall and it shattering.
Okay.
And it still has the palm imprint of my dad's palm on it when he threw it on the wall. So that was the gaming company. It was really fun building it, spreading it across cyberspace. The second was a clothing company that I built when I was 20 with my friend. In college, we would go around making T-shirts and hoodies like these with customized
Is this one
print
of
and
your
design. No, this isn't.
Okay.
My sister
This is
bought
on
this
her-
on her trip across Dehradun, Bhutan
Okay.
recently. So I made T-shirts like these because otherwise I would see people walking around being billboards of other brands, and I was like, why not express yourself?
One of those.
Yeah. Well, that's at least conservative. The other ones are in like font
Yeah.
60
Yeah.
on a chest that is like 28. So it doesn't look neat at all. So I wanted to bring about expression, and we saw a lot of success in that. We built it for 5 years, had customers across colleges, even celebrities like Hrithik Roshan, Shahid Kapoor, Royal Challengers Bangalore were all our customers. So it did really well. And the third company was an evolution of the second, where we tried to build the bras and prostheses for breast cancer patients,
Okay.
especially survivors, which is a broken problem still in India, where a woman, usually in her 30s or 40s, after her breast cancer journey, she has had one or half of her breast removed, and she's recuperating from it. There is no option for them to buy a bra which has a pocket and a prosthesis.
Okay.
They have to pretty much get it from abroad, from a friend, or do trial and error with brands. And these are extremely expensive innerwear. I think the most expensive innerwear you have is like 350, 400.
It max
But an
400.
average bra costs, with a pocket, costs 5,000. And a
Okay.
prosthesis costs 13,000. And women at least need 3 bras in a year. So it is a big hit for their aesthetics, for their sense of confidence and their sense of femininity. So we tried solving that, failed thrice, ran out of money.
Okay. So we were
Yeah.
doing good on our t-shirt business.
Yeah, we were.
Then what happened?
There's no kick. There's good money, but there's no kick.
Okay.
So,
So is it-
and my one of my extremely important teammate passed on in a freak accident. So we paused it, and I went off to explore my other opportunities and did my MBA. and my other co-founder, he ventured out trying to crack IAS.
Oh.
So,
Is he an IAS now?
no, I wish he was, but he isn't. Yeah.
Nice.
He's again a content creator out of nowhere. We're in the same path again.
Galata,
Hmm.
how it started, how it started, what is your plan with it? I know that you're able to onboard great people, very influential personalities, Nikhil, Kishore, and
I like
Ankur.
use first names now.
Yeah, because that are on top of my mind, and
Yeah.
these are the people who motivated me to where I am and to start my journey. And I, being an investor, so Zerodha is that's how I started learning about finance and everything. How did it start?
It started, honestly, out of frustration. I was so frustrated in my MBA that I still vividly remember this one case study that really ticked me off.
Okay.
It was about a company called Nordstorm in America. Think of it like Reliance Fresh for the elite crowd, like Amiroka
Okay.
Reliance Fresh. And there's a case study in my MBA where there's a lady that comes to the store and says this tire is bad, give me a replacement or give me a refund. The salesperson takes the tire back and refunds her the amount. And then he takes the receipt to his manager, and the manager is stumped. And he's like, we don't even sell tires. What's wrong with you? Why have you taken a refund? And he's like, sir, we have a policy called no questions asked return policy. And I'm like, what the hell is this? This is MBA at this rate. I mean, it did take a genius to figure out if I did this in India, I will lose my house in 2 nights. So it did not make sense to study Western companies, and so I was really frustrated. I was like, I will not learn how to build a business, which is what I wanted to learn.
Okay.
And so I'm like, what can I do? And the easiest excuse to interact with founders who I already knew from my past clothing venture and gaming venture, and because I'm a Marwadi in the community, was podcasting.
Okay.
And so I just ventured out figuring out which business and which founder piqued my curiosity, and I'd sit with them for 2 to 3 hours, understand their business through them. And that is how Galata was built. And another backstory is that in my MBA, my first year of MBA, there's something called as interaction with CXOs every Friday evening from like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. That is what I looked forward to every week in my college.
Okay.
In my second year, my dean, I don't know what he smoked. Whatever he smoked, I wish I had taken a puff of that. But he stopped that, and he did something even more marvelous. But he stopped that, and I was missing it. So this perfectly fit the void to have my own interaction with CEOs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That also brings me to something HI
Hmm.
that you're a part of, and I also used to be a part of HI conversation in Ahmedabad,
Yeah.
and in next to I'm Ahmedabad.
Hmm.
So there was this guy MBA Chai wala. He was a speaker there, and we used to. I had to know. I came across him, then we met, and then many people introduced me to HI, and I think you also are part of HI, right?
I'm just a volunteer.
Okay, so what exactly is HI?
Think of each as a community of founders across the world
Okay.
who get together and have meaningful conversations and try and explore business opportunities. It's
Okay.
free to attend for everyone, everywhere.
Mm.
Of course, there are a few business partners through which some events happen, but most of it is, all of it is free to attend for everyone.
Yeah, I will.
And it piqued my interest because I have always felt alive around people. I like getting people together, getting them to do something interesting, and most importantly, to involve those introverts or those reserved and quiet ones in the group. For me, that is where the magic is. Because once you involve them, it becomes a much more wholesome evening. And so each is a very good aspect of my week. My weekends go in volunteering with each eye. I've hosted over 26 to 30 meetups in the last 2 years, and volunteered for like the rest of them. So it makes a lot of impact for me. It fulfills me as a person.
And you might be also getting contacts, and so you can get more networking opportunities from there.
No, it's actually the other way. For me, it's give back.
Okay.
Because I have so much contact already, I'm constantly looking, how can I help this person? So my almost always the first question is, what's your name? What are you building? And right after that is, what are you looking for here?
Okay.
Sometimes it's for hiring, sometimes it's for fundraising, at times it's for a problem that they're stuck at, and I keep my ears open. And that is where, when I go and talk to marquee founders, investors, community builders, ecosystem enablers, I bring those problems and challenges on board, and I try to solve it for them. I'm just a bridge.
Okay.
I look at myself as a bridge between those who are starting up right now, like this podcast. I'm being a
Thank
bridge
you.
by coming here, showing up, and supporting you. So I love doing that part. I don't have a toll gate yet, but I'm still a bridge.
Thanks for doing this. Okay, so next I want to start with the main thing. The topic of this is how to start a podcast. So because I'm a new person here, I'm venturing into this, and you have been a good experienced player, and you have good tenure experience. And so let's start with basic. And I would like to ask you, let's say there's a new person like me who wants to start his own podcast. How does he start it? And let's say first, what is the first 2 to 3 things that he needs to identify?
I think I've had a fantastic start, man. This is a phenomenal setup. Kudos to Abhishek for having this setup
Also to
put up
Magic
here.
Studio.
Yeah, Magic Studio, linked in the description. Look it up. Kudos to you guys. This is like a phenomenal start, hands down. I started my podcast journey with a 6,500 rupees Zoom H1 and mic, and my iPhone as a backup recorder.
Okay.
So I tell most people that you don't need much to start up a podcast. All you need is following your natural curiosity and your own phone, and you're good to go. And I've always told my sponsors that, listen, I don't want to amp up production through mics and cameras and everything, because in India people still use that 50 rupee headphone to listen.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense for me to have a 20,000 rupee Shure mic or a 48,000 rupee Shure mic, the Big Daddy, when I know the end person is a school guy or a college kid that is listening to the podcast in his bus on the way to his college.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense.
Fair.
So start with as little as possible.
Okay.
You already have everything to start a podcast.
Just to give you a heads up, I started with 400 rupees.
This doesn't come in 400 rupees.
Not this one. We started back in MBA,
Uh,
and we did record it. It got good response,
Yeah.
but at that time we had no production money.
yeah.
So we were like, ठीक है एक बार थोड़ा पैसा आया. And if you have a good decent corporate job, you can manage once in a while. So, and that's how I plan to do this. Okay. So for financially, it's not a whole. Anyone can start it.
Yeah.
As minimum as let's say 500. Just the audio version, right?
No, video also.
Video also.
I just met, I spent my Sunday with a couple, Ullas and Apeksha Ameria. They run this YouTube channel called Zaika Ka Swad.
Okay.
And they have 9 million subscribers.
Oh.
And all Apeksha does is uses 2 to 3 iPhones that she ploms. She comes to your mom's kitchen
Okay.
with 2 to 3 iPhones. She ploms them on the counter table, and she gives your mom the center stage to teach her favorite recipe, the one that you have loved throughout your life.
Okay.
And that she shares it with millions of women across the globe. And she has 3 tripods and 3 iPhones. That's it.
Okay.
So
But that 3 iPhones and 3 tripods is still.
yeah, but now that's after her 2,000 episodes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she started with just her own camera, plombed in her kitchen with her mom, teaching her favorite recipes.
Okay.
So you don't need much to start. And this is true in all businesses. You don't
Right.
need much to
You
start.
just need the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But if you have resources, it adds up.
Yeah, but don't get too fancy,
Too
because when you get
fancy,
fancy, things break.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Important learning. So one can start with bare minimum. Okay. So let's say I'm someone who have decided कि हम को content creation पे content बनाना.
One second. When I say bare minimum, it's not just tools, it's also the guest. My first guest was my best friend's sister. My second guest was my sister.
Okay.
My third guest was a chief guest that I'd met at an event.
Okay.
And that's how I built my guest list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through referencing
Yeah.
and showing a proof of concept.
Right.
Okay. So my idea with this podcast is कि let's have a good recording, have a good proof of concept, and if you have a good episode, you can show to other people. You can get more people. This was my thought process.
Yeah, you're bang on.
So
Yeah.
hopefully let's see and how we are moving ahead. Okay, so bare minimum anyone can start recording audio, video, with bare minimum iPhone camera, or not even an iPhone, a regular phone,
Yeah.
and a mic.
Even an old phone that
Even
is
an
not
old
being
phone.
used, but the camera works.
But
Go
the-
for it.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Now, how to let's say I've started. I've decided कि मेरे को ये topic पे content बनाना है. How do I reach out to people? The first thing that you said is कि you can reach out to your extremely close individuals and whom you know. So let's say I met you in an did we spoke how we met?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I was there in a growth school event. Vaibhav also shot here last week or last month. I was speaking to Abhishek. So we were at the growth school event. My friend was talking to Puneeth, and I was तभी मैं passionate था कि I want to start my channel with video पे because I'm there on audio. And so my friend Jeet was talking to you, and he introduced me and then you showed me your channel. I was fascinated by you, and I just requested him to please can you be on guest on my show, and he accepted and he was very helpful, and he also helped me with studios and other things, and मैं इनको बहुत wait कर रहा This was supposed to be shot late May, early June types.
Yeah.
And then I was traveling to my hometown, then I went north and other areas. And I had to figure many things out. But I said, okay, let's book it and बाकी का बाद में सोच, let's shoot one episode and you can decide rest of the things later. So this is how I did. And okay. So how do you get guests on your podcast? Let's say if I'm a new person. Initially I'm starting with the people I know, my friends and family, or if there is notable person who's doing the same work here and there. But how do you scale and get bigger guests? Like you have really amazing guest lists. How do you reach them?
So a few things. One that I learned from Seth Godin was have a hexagon in place, in the sense that my first guest was my best friend's sister, my second guest was my sister, and my third guest was just a chief guest at an event.
Yeah.
Okay, so we build a hexagon of it, build 6 of them, and then when you go and approach somebody, you can say, hey, this person is already on my list. Do you want to join that list? So that helps. Now, where do you find those people is something that I always end up surprising myself.
Okay.
I have found guests mostly through references. So once I have 6 friends or 6 guests, I can always ask them, hey, would you recommend me to other people? Okay. And I take a step further saying, can you put in a word? Okay. And these are busy people because I interact with founders mostly. It helps if you frame a message and send it to them saying, hey, feel free to edit it at will. But most of them just forward the same thing across and they put in a word. That's one. The second thing that I would do to reach out to guests is events, conferences. Be very strategic about how you use events and conferences. I really like Keith Farazi's work and his idea of conference commando. I really appreciate that. Maybe you can link it up in Keith Farazi, Keithfarazi.
I haven't heard him.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't heard of him.
Okay.
However, those who have heard of him and studied him, you can see them in the conference working their way around a room like they are the host. And if you see me at the growth school event, you couldn't decipher. Even the chief guest didn't know that I was not running the event. Because when I enter a conference, it's very strategic. I'm very clear who I want to interact with, and I'm very clear where I'm sitting, who I'm talking to, how I'm going to move things around. I'm very aware, and that helps because it's easy to get a guest before they get on the stage to speak, because a lot of people do not identify them unless they're very popular, and you can get a lot of time of that. Like just classic example, this weekend I was at Art of Living, and there was Sri Ravi Shankar coming in for a conference to speak. Okay. Just before he came to the venue, at the gate, my friend and I were standing, and there was a whole bunch of people that were also standing across us, but they went a little ahead to catch him up early. But we were the only ones that were staying there. The minute he came, we had an eye contact, we diagonally walked up to him. My friend got 30 seconds and he asked, sir, Gurudev, can I come and interact with you sometime? And Gurudev was like, come on Monday. He was the only one that actually got time to speak. And then when Gurudev entered and when he left, like 30% of the crowd left the audience because they wanted to go talk to him, get his blessings or take a selfie. I mean, that is critical. Catch them before they get on stage. Because after that, they have like an aura that's going around, oh, is the person on stage. That's one. The second thing is, you gotta go if in conferences, because if you're talking still in conferences, events, get-togethers, mixers, always come a little early and acquaint yourself with the place. Know where the washrooms are, know where the things are, know where the exits are. Because a lot of times, marquee guests get locked up. They have spoken on a stage for an hour and they're locked with people around them. You cannot bypass them. You'll have to wait along, or somebody's going to come and drag them out. You're better off knowing the venue everywhere. So you can always plomp in with a glass of water and give them while they're surrounded with people. If they want to go to the washroom, you can show it to them. You can always, like I did with Vaibhav at Growth School, I held his hand and I moved him across the venue. Because I was like, the first time he was sitting in the venue, standing in the venue with like 20 people around him, but he was blocking an alley. So the people couldn't move through and through. So I literally held him and I put him back. He went and stood somewhere where the background was not good and people were taking pictures. I was like, wait, wrong place. I moved him again in front of a frame, which had a good lighting and backdrop. He didn't know me, I didn't know him, but I can tell you, he appreciated that. Yeah. So be aware when you're going to conferences and events. Be like a super host. I've done 2 to 3 episodes on this. And Keith Farazi has written a book on this, worth reading. So I would suggest be like a super host when you go to events and conferences. Third thing is be open to magic to happen. Every time you step out, wear your best clothes. Be as if you're going to go and meet VVIP. Because I have been to most random places and I see VVIPs, I don't want to miss that chance. I had just stopped at Courtyard to say hi to a friend, and I saw Kunal Shah walking down. That was a moment I got. So I took advantage of it. The same applies everywhere. Right now we're in Indranagar. For all you know, you're going to step out and you're going to meet a unicorn founder somewhere in Rameshwaram Cafe. For all you know. You don't want to miss that moment in time. Don't go and disturb them, but strategically stand somewhere where they would be coming naturally and turn around and say, hi, I do so and so, would you like to be on my show? Works all the time. Yeah.
I will definitely give it a shot. Okay, so let's talk about few individual people that you know. How were you able to get access to Mariku or Nikhil and Biani? Let's stick to these three.
Maybe, so there are a lot of commonalities. One is, let's talk about Nikhil Kamath, how I got access to him. It so happened that I was at a Taj event by Your Story, and I saw this gentleman talk on the stage, and as I always do again at conferences, when I see a speaker speaking really good, I go up to them and congratulate them. I don't ask for their cards, I don't talk business, I just congratulate them and get out. And that is why I sit very close to the exit gates from where the speaker plumps down. Okay, I did that with him, and I went back to my business, sitting and attending the conference. I observed him standing near the door for half an hour, and then there was lunch break. I went, had my lunch, came back. He was still at the door. I was like, Majra, what's happening here? I didn't realize this guy was collecting visiting cards left, right, and center. People were constantly coming to him. No, it wasn't Nikhil. It was another founder. And I realized, wait a minute, this guy really understands networking. He isn't popular, but he gave a speech, he's standing near the door, and he's able to get people to come and talk to him, give their visiting cards, interact with them. He did that for 2.5 hours, and I saw him. I was like, this guy understands networking. Let's get him on the show. So I went up to him, told him, listen, I want to get you on the show. He gave me his visiting card. After that, for 3 months, I followed up with him almost every Monday. Twice we scheduled a time, and then he cancelled it out last minute. Third time, he cancelled the plan with his wife early morning and showed up for the podcast. So we did this 2-hour podcast with him. His name is Aniket Jain. He was building Kalera, which is one of the most successful SaaS companies out of India. Built out of Koramangala, got listed in New York Stock Exchange. And just got sold to Tata Communications for $250 million. So a really good success story. I did this episode and I stepped out. And I still remember, he loved the episode as well because we had a very good warm interaction. He was like, hey, do you want to talk to other guests that I can connect you with? I was like, sure. And he told me, I still remember he called me and told me, listen, why don't you interview somebody from Zerodha? I can connect you to Nikhil. So I was looking up Nikhil and it said musician on Google. I was like, I don't want a musician guy. Give me Nitin Kamath. No, why do you want to give me Nikhil? He's like, no, Puneeth. He insisted saying, no, please interview Nikhil. You and Nikhil will connect. And I was like, no, Aniket, give me Nitin's contact. He was like, no, Nikhil would be a better guest for you. I was like, sure. So he connected to me. He wrote an email to Nikhil and me. I still remember 2 hours later I get a call saying, hi, this is Nikhil. And I'm like, hi, hey, it's Puneeth. When would you like to do the podcast? And 4 days later, we had a podcast scheduled. Now, the interesting thing was that I didn't realize Kalyara's office and Zerodha's office was one below the other. So they were like neighbors. So out of serendipity, I got Nikhil Kamath on Galata Podcast. And what's more interesting was that Aniket was right. When I remember Nikhil and I scheduled for 7 o'clock, we started recording by 7:15. Till 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. we recorded the episode. And we really hit it off. We spoke about like some 30 different topics. If you see the show notes of that episode, there are like some 30 books listed because we spoke about those books. And the absolute heartbreaking thing was when I reached home, I got a call from Kudrat, who was the chief marketing officer back then. She's like, Puneeth, what did you do? And I'm like, shit, kya kar diya? Because this was an important contact. And I knew that somewhere in the episode, the market had started. So he plonked his computer on, turned the screen away and came back to me and started chatting again. I was like, oh damn, something would have gone wrong. And 2 seconds later, she was like, he's never been this happy after an interview. What did you do? I'm like, oh, okay. We spoke about really interesting stuff. Da 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 da. And that's how a relationship with Nikhil and Zerodha developed. It started because we really connected well as individuals, and it's very evident when you listen to the podcast as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What books did you discuss?
We discussed everything from Greek mythology to petroleum related business to psychology to, of course, trading. But the interesting thing was, Ikshit, 3.5 घंटे के episode में that I recorded, we spoke because I get a transcript of the entire episode at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I control F searched Zerodha. There are only 12 mentions. That means we hardly spoke about Zerodha.
Yeah.
We spoke about so many other things.
Because he is a very interesting personality. I've listened to his podcast, WTF.
Yeah.
And the kind of knowledge that he has ranging from any topic.
Yeah. He's generally very
he's
curious.
very curious, very aware. And so yeah, that's a really great story. And I hope we call Nikhil someday on our podcast, the Bucket Podcast. Okay, yeah, that's very inspiring. Puneeth, that was really very inspiring how you get access to such people, and I think you also put in a lot of years behind this. This is not an easy journey. How long did it took for you to be where you are right now at this particular moment?
It's taken me a long time. And one thing that I've realized from my past failures has been to get early, which is usually my tendency to get early in an industry, and to stay as long as I can.
Okay.
And that is what I want to do with my podcast. I want to stay with it as long as I can. Probably I'll have to pry the phone away from my dead, cold hands, or pry the microphone away from my dead, cold hands. Because I want to do it as long as possible, because that is how I'm going to get lucky in this industry and across industries. So it's taken a really long time, and there are still a list of 37 guests that I'm following for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Every Monday, Tuesday, or every other Monday and Tuesday, they get a follow-up email or a message. So, and I'm very clear. I've told some of them that, listen, either you will die or I will die. But before that, make sure you come on the Galata podcast. Because until then, I'm going to follow up.
It's very inspiring. It's
Yeah.
very good to know that. So roughly, you're in this industry for how many years?
In podcast from the last 5 years?
Last 5
odd
years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've seen the industry beginning in India.
I remember, Ikshit, it took me 6 months to get on Spotify. Because Spotify was not even there in India. I had to write multiple emails saying, hey, why don't you list Galata on the show?
In 2018.
Yeah, 2018, 2017.
Yeah, because I remember I was in undergrad
Uh,
and Spotify naya naya tha, and there was everyone was talking कि Spotify is in India, is in India, it is in India. So we were like, yeah, and that's why I remember 2018.
yeah. And today you can get on Spotify through Anchor in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Yeah.
We have this podcast in Spotify. We started back in 22
Mhm.
and we did 3 episodes, and then we decided we will do once we have better production quality.
Yeah. See, that's when I get a pinky promise from people when I meet them. I take a pinky promise saying, you need to do at least 6 episodes. Yeah, so get me a pinky
Done.
promise. Yeah, he joins. Give me the thumb as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how my
Done.
niece taught me.
Nice.
Yeah, so do 6 episodes, man. because then you get to see the grind that it takes and you have a hexagon in place. After that, you can pause it if you want to. It becomes a season. Or if you want, you can build it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm planning. Each episode, 6 episodes, where in each episode I want to discuss different topic about content creation.
Super.
And then we will move forward. It need not be a studio podcast. It can be a virtual, depending on the guest availability and cities. Because right now we are in Bangalore, so if I have someone in Mumbai or because I'm shooting with someone who's in Canada, so he's my junior in my college, but he's doing decent podcast. RN Hingu, Blunt podcast.
Good shout out, huh?
Yeah, and he's helping me well with which mic should I order, which equipment should I use. So I'm thinking let's do equipment episode with him because he has figured that out. So that's his thing. Because you are a veteran in the industry, so first intro episode with you. Okay. So next, we got to know how you are able to get great people on board, influential people on board. But just for the sake of the ratio, let's say you reach out to 100 individuals, you invite 100 people, then what is the acceptance that you kind of seeing right now?
It's 100%.
It's 100%.
I just don't stop until they say yes. I'll give you a classic example, okay? There is Ninja Cart, which you have known.
I know.
There is Thiru Kumaran. Thiru, if you're listening, take my calls. So, I have been following up with Thiru for the last 2.5 years. And I remember I met him in person, had a really nice, I did everything I told you about in conference. We really connected. And since then, I've been sending him follow-up messages. I have over 12 follow-up messages where if you tell me no 12 times, also I still have something else to give you, to offer you, and to entice you to come and be a guest on my show. I did that across, and I still remember the first 4 or 5. He saw it, but he didn't really reply. The 5th one, he's like, I am busy, I am not able to do it, 6th, 7th, 8th. By the 10th message, he's like, yes, let's do this. Till date, we haven't been able to schedule a time, and that's okay. He knows that he has agreed. I know that I'm going to get him someday. So in my head, it's 100% in. It's just matter of our stars aligning, and we're going to do. And that's fine, because I can tell you, tomorrow if we are attending a same conference, or we are traveling together, I'm going to stop him, and I'm going to call him and saying, sit down. I'm going to get a lounge space. We're going to do the episode right now. Or if he's going on his way to the airport, I'm going to listen, you're going to go in the airport, you have a nice sit down. Sit, you're here as a driver anyways. Sit beside me and we'll record an audio podcast in your car. I have done that as well. I have recorded in fancy sedans. It's audio soundproof, so I don't have to bother. So for me, it's 100% in, unless he takes them away. Otherwise, it's an in. On a at the moment basis, I believe out of 100 people that I've reached out to, on an average, and I only speak with 100 people at a time, almost 30 to 100 is still a lot. No, it's not so a lot because WhatsApp helps organize it easier. Out of 100 people, I believe 30 to 40 of them say yes in the first 4 attempts of me reaching out to them. Yeah, and the rest of them, well, I like to persist as a person, because as you go higher and higher, trying to get bigger and bigger guests, we have filters to remove those who are not persistent enough. Because they are hit 100 times a minute to gain their attention. Somebody wants something all the time from them. So persistence is a filter that they have anyways. It's like you have to really persist to even get through their filters and get their time. And so I've built it into my system. Yeah, and they respect somebody when they persist.
That's an important key takeaway for anybody who is starting. Persistence is the key.
Yeah, be in their face, but don't be obnoxious.
And one more thing, that if you're reaching out to them, do you reach out via mails, via their agents?
Anything. Agents have never done. Because for me, it's about that one-to-one connection. For me, it's about that interaction that we have. So I don't do agents. I don't deal with bookies for podcasts to book guests.
Is it the thing?
Well, that is there across the world in different aspects. Some directly, some indirectly. There's some PR companies that will peddle out podcast episodes. I'm not into any of that. In fact, every PR company that has reached out to me, they get a 2-word response. Hard no. That's it. But what I do is, I try to build interactions with the person directly. And I usually get their contacts, their direct number, through reference, through conferences, or through some days just picking the phone, and calling the customer care and then just working my way up till the CX level.
From the customer care, you can get to the CX level.
Of course you can. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it so many
I would
times.
need it. I would need this help off
That's another
screen.
episode.
Off screen.
But it is definitely doable. I still remember ID Fresh, Mustafa PC. I knew that he handles all customer care email.
Okay.
And so I would always have a spin around something to do with customer care and reach out to him, knowing that he's the one reading the mail. Yeah, so I got to interact with him twice for 3 hours. Well, you can get around, if you understand the organizations, you can get to the person at the top very easily. I always say this, and people don't believe me, that the higher up you go in the ladder, in terms of people, the more and more popular, reputed people, they are Vela. They are not busy. They are free.
Okay.
Yeah, because they've given almost everything
almost
delegated or like abdicated to somebody else. So they're extremely Vela and free. And in my experience, if you have something that is specific and clearly communicated it, and you say it with enough conviction, they'll give you the time of the day.
Okay, but I would like to read how you reach out to these people. What is
I'm
the
telling you everything,
mail
man.
technique? What is the
There is
what
no
is-
mail technique. There is
Okay.
nothing. I tell
Okay.
them and so many times I don't even send them a message. I send them an audio note.
Oh.
Hey, yada 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 yada. Nice talking to you. Bye.
Okay.
That's it. It's like a 20-second audio message, and I'm not even making it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So podcasting is not even content creation is journal. If you want to reach out to people, it's not that difficult a task. And it looks to outer audience if it looks difficult. It's you just need to be passionate enough. You need to find the right ways, and hopefully you are there then.
Yeah, but it's also about what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, you
What
have
is
to-
going to, how you're going to keep the conversation going. Because it's a very fine line to toe. You are one maybe sentence away from getting a legal suit, or you are 2 sentences away from getting shot or getting attacked. Or you're one guest away from being labeled a bhakt, unbhakt, or something like that. So it's a very fine line, and you're in the public eye, despite not being the because you're just representing as a podcaster. I'm just representing my audience. But because I'm shining light on another guest, that light also hits on me. So I also end up having a public image to maintain.
Okay, got it. Okay, and okay, so I've seen a podcast, and they're mostly in audio format right now, right?
Yeah.
So and there's this Anchor, which is you have reached on
Anchor and Barkhalat.
on video.
Yeah.
So is there any why are you focusing only on the audio format? Is there
Because audio is so much more fun, so much more cheaper, so much more easier. Video is so much, like it took me half an hour for you to set this up. And that is after I came. I don't know how much more it took before I came. But it takes me a minute to set up my audio episode setup. I always tell my guests, give me 30 seconds or 60 seconds. I set it up, and then there's 1 minute of audio check, and we are rolling. In 3 minutes, we are rolling into the actual episode.
Okay.
In 5 minutes, they've already forgotten there's a mic between us.
Right.
Yeah, but it takes forever for them to forget these glaring lights, these 3 cameras, folks sitting and chit-chatting on their phone while we're having a human-to-human conversation. So, I've always been pro on audio.
Okay.
I enjoy audio. I'm an audio first person. And for the audience I have, their eyes are busy. A high-level executive or an employee that's working in the evening, his eyes are busy, but his ears are free.
Okay.
And that is why I want to reach out to them.
Okay. This is my personal question, and I think it can be to other
All of
people.
these are your personal
All of these are my personal questions. Let's say, is it difficult to build distribution in audio format?
It is.
It is.
Because people have to look for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once you get that ball rolling, it's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because for what are you trying to do with the podcast? Is it only going to be audio, or are you going to venture into video in some?
So I have recorded 10 episodes in video, discarded 8 of them because they were shitty. It doesn't meet my criteria. The Ankur Variko episode, I held it for 8 months. I was like, this is so bad, I don't want to put it. But then somebody told me, dude, doesn't matter, put it out there, it's good.
Yeah.
Because I ended up focusing on the bottle. The bottle looks crystal clear and the guy, both of us look blurred. I was like, idiot. But it's okay. I put it out after 8 months. I was like, fair enough.
Okay.
The audio one got out immediately after the recording, but I still feel comfortable with audio.
Okay.
Also because I have a really great voice and people like my voice.
It is.
With video, I'm still reserved because I have squintness, I wear specs, so I need
Okay.
different lighting setup, and it takes the backdrop, the clothing, the hairstyle, the look, the angle. It just complicates everything. And
Okay.
despite putting all of this effort, audio podcast and video podcast is like 37 times harder to crack.
Video
And
is harder.
Yeah, the videos are, because already, if it's a famous person, they already have 50.
They already have an audience.
Yeah, they already have like content of there on YouTube. Like Kishore Biani or Nikhil Kamath or an Ankur Varikoo is a creator, but Nikhil Kamath is also a creator. But before he was into creation, he had like 50 interviews of him already on YouTube.
Right,
CNN, IB, all of these
Mhm.
media companies also put their interviews out. So how do you stand out?
Okay.
You don't have much wriggle room to stand out unless you do
Yeah.
something drastically different. And that is why I still haven't committed to video, because it
Okay.
takes a significant amount of upfront effort, during the recording effort, and post-production effort.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only reason. But Ankur Varikoo, in the episode, if you've seen it, he literally urged me to take up video, and he was congratulating me that I've started video, because he gave a different perspective. India is a loud country.
Yeah, I heard that part.
Yeah. And for your audience, India is a very loud country. And that is why audio episode doesn't make sense yet. It makes sense because India wants to look at things. They want to look at the people that they are listening to. And that is why I think you've taken a good step. You've taken a much bolder step than I have, at least as far as I see, that you've started with a video and audio podcast.
My logic was with video podcast was कि I can build distribution not with help of a long form video, but with small reels and shorts. Okay, because there is a YouTube channel, the Makeshift Project. It's run by two US dudes. What they do, they just got 3 things. कि I'm saying 5 things, just rate randomly out of 1 to 5. So they will say which is your favorite restaurant. McD, you rated at 3. KFC, you 4. And that's it. The most of the channel comprises of this, and they have more than 2 billion views. How? Because shorts. Because I guess shorts is a way to distribute, and this in long form, I can develop some sort of credibility if my content is good and it works out. And so this is my way to move ahead.
Yeah, I agree. You know, for the longest time, I've hated reels.
I also
I hated TikTok.
I'm
It
not
was
on
so
Instagram.
terrible. But there's no choice.
There's no
You
choice.
have to ride the wave, and sometimes the wave hits the rock. Sometimes it goes too high for your comfort level.
Yeah.
But you have to ride the wave. So you don't have a choice but to get into reels and shorts.
because I hardly use social media. You will see my Instagram is deactivated, and I'm planning ki if I am able to shoot 50 shots, then only, and then there on YouTube, then only I will activate back my Instagram. This is my personal.
You can always automate it. Automate the
Automate,
publishing.
yeah.
You don't have to even use the platform. You can use an automating tool and just schedule the shots and leave it.
Yeah,
You
but
don't
still,
have to bottom.
if my app is on, then I tend to use it.
No, the app's not on. You're
Okay.
connecting a
Okay.
third-party app.
Okay.
You're connecting a third-party app to your social media, and that is posting on your behalf.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my account is still active, no?
Not for you, but for the rest of the world.
But
Yeah.
it's actually not for me.
Not for you. Yeah, you're not
Okay.
checking in. You're not going in and looking at what's the message and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but it's still on.
Yeah.
No? People can see my account.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, but
Huh.
I don't want to have my Instagram open, because if it's open, high chances I will go and use it.
Oh, okay.
That's a
Well,
personal thing.
That's a
So-
personal thing, yeah.
So right now I'm planning ki let's get 4 to 5 episodes shoot, have
Mm.
50 reels.
And then you're gonna like spam everyone.
like spam every.
Here we go! You hated this? Well, I joined the bandwagon.
So let's see how it goes. But this is my.
Nice.
Way
Your
of
revenge on
reaching
Instagram.
But it's not revenge. It's ki, as you said, you don't like reels.
Yeah.
I also don't like reels. But again, if
You
I
can't
st-
avoid reels now.
I do.
You can't avoid. Because the incentives there are so economically high that the industry is moving towards
It's moving
it.
towards it.
Yeah. And unusually, because it's moving towards that, it's also moving towards longer and longer form of content. Because more and more disheartened, dissociated, disconnected people get with reels, they will try to look for something that is meaningful, that has depth, that has raw and relevance to it. So longer forms of contents is going to become the trend as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's my way. That's what I've decided, and let's see how it goes. And obviously, we have to change it and tweak it sometime. Okay.
All the time.
All the time. You
Yeah.
cannot just sit and do your thing. Okay. And okay, I have this particular question. Let's say you are meeting someone, a notable personality. So, are there any legal things that are there into the account?
There are, but in India you can't do much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say कि copyright का क्या होगा, and if you're interviewing a business founder, and there are certain things that they've said that later they want to rule it out, and if they want it, they can get the episode removed. Are there any such things?
I've always thought of charging people for that, thinking it's going to be a good revenue source.
Okay.
Get them to say shit they don't want to say, and then after that realize, oh damn, ये बोल दिया. I'm like, sir, उसका 50,000 लगेगा production cost cover करने के लिए. But it has never happened. I have never taken content out of my episode because somebody has requested it or insisted it.
Are there requests?
There have been, no doubt. There have been, because as much as I want to learn from a founder, for them it's public image. It's part of their PR activity. It's their way to peddle out some message, or a way to like
showcase.
they're showcasing, right?
Yeah.
They're also like polishing,
Hmm.
they're brushing up the edges which are blunt and sharp.
Hmm.
So I understand that.
Okay.
And there is a fine balance between, do I give them the liberty to use my podcast as a way to peddle what they had in mind, or do I focus it on learning?
Okay.
And because I don't take money from them,
Hmm.
I have no incentive to do the other bit. For me, it's
Okay.
always been about understanding, following my general curiosity.
Okay.
And every time there have been episodes where they've gotten into like a self-promotion mode. Like multiple authors have been on Galata. You'll never hear about them because I will never put it out. But I ask them a question which is extremely simple. They maybe say a line about it and then they go back to that book and something in the book. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Audio is very intimate. Interactions are very intimate. Audience can see that आप अपना ही agenda लेके आ रहे हो. You're bringing your own side to
because
this.
there is no visual.
Yeah, there's no visual. And even in video, people can know that you have your own agenda, or somebody has their own agenda that they're coming in with. And they're just going back to it, no matter where the host is trying to take them.
Okay.
A lot of hosts that I've tried to study and understand, they try to break through it. I don't like to break through because it creates friction. I just go through the episode and I just kill it. I tell them, listen, sorry, producer ne maar diya, producer didn't approve it. And there is no producer, which is my right hand saying shift delete. Bye.
But there are multiple roles, so you can also produce.
Yeah. That's why my language is audio producer. So there's audio producer and there's a producer. Producer only. Who's the producer? Sorry, he's too busy.
Wow, that's very smart way of doing things.
Yeah.
I have to learn a lot from you. So, okay. And legal, it's we discussed this. And
But legal, if you want, have a release form. It doesn't make sense though. क्या कर लोगे release form? I had release form for a few episodes,
Okay.
but it didn't make sense anymore.
So it's just hi, let's shoot it at this time, this venue, and if the other guy agrees, you just shoot. There is no legal, no paperwork.
No paperwork. I don't do paperwork
Okay.
anymore. It does not make sense.
Okay.
It adds another layer of complexity because they have to read through it, and they have a bigger team. The team has to read through it, and then if they have to read through it, they'll have to listen to the podcast to check if anything is out of the line.
Yeah.
And if they have to listen to the entire podcast again, then they're getting paid to protect him or her. So they can't just say approved. They will suggest, oh, ये थोड़ा निकाल दो, ये थोड़ा off लग रहा है. It just extends my production pipeline forever. So I'm like, no.
Got it.
Yeah, there nobody gets to have their hand on the episode. The complete creative control, production control is with me, and I edit it, and I make sure. If I know there's something that's out of line, I delete it because that keeps the equation with the person.
No, that needs to
But if there is something that just doesn't make sense, I'm like, sorry, the episode is killed. Producer is not okay.
Okay, got it. And so, do you have a producer? As you
Mhm.
mentioned, you manage everything.
Yeah.
So how long it takes for you to cut, edit?
I think an average episode takes 100 hours.
100 hours.
Something like that, yeah.
Shooting का time क्या आ गया?
Shooting is like 2-3 hours
2-3
only.
hours.
Yeah.
And after that?
There's easily about 70 to 80 hours of research. I read everything about the person online, whether it's in print, if they have books published, if they have other podcasts, if they have been featured somewhere, if they have their own blogs. I look at all of them. If they have been featured in somebody else's books, I look at all of that. That takes 70 hours. 30 to 36 hours for post-production. Almost every single minute that you hear of Galata takes about 6 minutes of production. So I listen to every single line 6 times at least before it is. Because I want to make every minute ring right. And that is why it takes the effort. And that is why I still just have that 5,500 rupees Zoom H1n mic. But if you listen to it, you're like, wait, this was recorded in a studio. But no, bhai, this was recorded in a car in Bangalore traffic while the founder was going to the railway station. Because that is the only time I had with him. So I make sure that every single minute rings right. And it takes effort, it takes time.
Yeah. So that was pretty noteworthy and pretty important. And okay, so moving on to next, it's around 100 hours of editing. 60 hours of research, 2 hours of shooting, and then you work a lot on edits. And which software do you use?
Audacity.
Audacity.
Yeah, Audacity for editing, Descript for transcripts, and sometimes I use Descript to figure out the narrative of the episode, what comes first, what comes later, so I can move things around. Audacity, Descript, and there's Auphonic. Auphonic I use for post-production to make sure that everything is set right. Almost all of these are free. They wouldn't cost you much. Audacity is 100% free. Auphonic, have 5 email accounts. You get 2 hours credit every month. Just use them. Descript costs like 1,000 rupees, but it's a great investment to have.
Got it. Okay. And these are only for audio purposes, right? Okay. And do you edit on phone, laptop?
I edit on my laptop.
Okay. Is it a regular laptop or it's a workstation?
It was, for the longest time, it was like a HP laptop.
Okay.
Yeah, which used to get hanged. So I couldn't do much longer form of episodes because my laptop would get hanged after 2-hour long audio.
Go with Dell laptops.
Yeah, Dell laptops, yes.
Dell.
So, dude, actually had Dell laptop, it wasn't HP. but I still remember, if I would cross 2 hours mark, my laptop would hang.
Okay.
And even a small fade would take like 30 seconds. So after 4 years, I finally decided to take a MacBook Pro because it was much more faster.
Okay.
So any laptop will do. Yeah, just have patience.
Okay. And coming to the next question, do you monetize a podcast? Are you able to monetize it?
I do. I've been able to monetize it through brands,
Okay.
through events, through collaborations, through affiliations. Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us more detail on it?
So brands. So when I talk to a founder, they like what I'm doing. Just like Aniket connected me to Nikhil Kamath. There are others who say, you know what, I like what you're doing. Why don't you just do it to a few of my friends and I'll pay you?
Oh.
Yeah, they do that. There are some times where brands want to come on board and say, you know what, we have these marquee clients who are industry leaders, they are the names, and we want something to engage them on a consistent basis.
Okay.
कितनी बार बात करोगे कैसा चल रहा है धंधा क्या हो रहा है, give me some more business, up, buy this, buy that, how is the product going, how is the service, how many times will you ask them? But if you say, hey, you know what, there's this podcast that's coming and spending an hour with you, he's a really nice guy, does his research, we liked it, why don't you spend an hour? People are okay with it, they find it very interesting.
Okay.
And so there have been founders like that who have backed me saying, you know what, these are 10 people, why don't you go interview them all? Yeah, they are all my clients, they've been with me for 3 to 5 years, would love to have them on Galata. And so they back me up for that. There have been times where they expand the idea of Galata for me. They're like, why is Galata just limited to founders? Why don't you take it to sportswomen? So I did an entire season on sportswomen. And I realized while I was doing it that because I was very reluctant to bring in sportswomen because that's not my audience. That's not my jam. I don't understand anything. I still don't know the difference between test and innings. Let alone go and talk to like a jiu-jitsu champion, 3-time champion, asking her what is rolling in the mat and everything. But when these athletes came on the show, I realized that there's not much of a difference between an athlete's journey and an entrepreneur's journey. There are a lot of things that are very obvious on the mat, in the pool, on the field, that I couldn't really express through having an entrepreneur sit. But those same principles, strategies and approaches would work brilliantly in a startup's journey. And that is why I really love that when a sponsor comes on board, they expand my idea of Galata. And I'm very grateful that I've had sponsors who have agreed to my terribly high asks. I take money upfront, 100% of it. I don't share any analytics. I don't measure analytics. If they are so particular about analytics, they have to do their own distribution and figure out if the analytics are great or not. And I do not let them interrupt any of the creative process. So, and it's almost impossible to get somebody after all of these restrictions, but still, I've been extremely lucky to find founders who are like, you know what, we'll back you. We like what you're doing. You're on a roll. What do you want? How much money do you want? Or what resources do you want? And they have taken a bet on me. And touchwood, it has helped them, their brand, and immensely to me to make the podcast happen, to keep it sustainable and still keep my North Star of figuring out how businesses happen in India. Yeah. So sponsorships could be a great thing for a podcast.
So, do these brands approach? You mentioned
they don't.
you have to reach out.
Unless you're IPL, brands don't approach you. And that is why I like to approach brands, but I can't do it as a salesperson because then almost every brand's first question is, what are your numbers? Or what's your reach? And I don't want to do that. Instead, what I like to do is I like to bring great guests who I would love to have as sponsors. And have a genuine interaction, build a connection, and they themselves come back and say, hey, how can we do business? How can we do something?
Got it.
They bring their table, they bring their ideas on the table because I have no idea what is happening internally. So sometimes sponsoring my podcast is part of their marketing budget. For some brands, it's part of their sales budget.
Got it.
And for some, it is just part of their CSR. I don't care. पैसा आ रहा है, podcast चल रहा है, आगे बढ़ रहा है, good. So for me, it's extremely clear.
Got it.
So can you give me an instance ki how a founder has given you money or?
Yeah, like a classic example is my first sponsor. I was in my final year of my MBA last month, and I met this founder at IIM Bangalore's Exenius event. We really connected, and I was like, you know what? Let's do an episode together. He was part of the unconventional panel there. His name is Deep Bajaj. Built a company called Surana, sold it for 100 crores to Good Glam Group. But back then, Surana was still building up. They had only 2-3 million customers, and they would make period cups for women. They would make. They would try to address unaddressed women hygiene issues. So I was like, I booked him at the event itself, and I told him, listen, whenever you're free, whenever you come back to Bangalore, I'm happy to host you. So when he came back to Bangalore a month later, I first started recording the episode in Bowring Club's reading room in Bangalore, where I was a member of. We did a half-an-hour episode there and really went on a roll until somebody else entered and was like, you're recording in this reading room? You can't do this. And he had to leave embarrassingly. And he was like, listen, I have a fancier hotel down the road. Why don't you come there? We'll sit in our room and record. I was like, great. So I went to his hotel, in his room, and a lot of these fancy hotels have good carpeting like this, have beds. These are all absorbent of sound, thick curtains. So perfect environment to record a podcast. So I sat there, we recorded for another 1.5 hours. What struck him was that as like a 21-year-old, I knew about period cups, I knew how long they last, how much they save money for the women. I'd done all my research. So he was just blown away that not only had I done all of that, I knew his MBA professors when he had done it from Australia. I was bringing that up in the conversations like, what did you learn from this professor that that taught you in Australia? He was just stumped by the amount of research I had done. And he's like, you know what? I will give you a flight ticket, fly to Delhi, and I want you to work with me. And I was like, thank you, but I have 2 backlogs still. And this podcast on roll, so I don't want to do anything else. But he kept insisting on that, why don't you come join me? a bad mistake. I didn't join him. He sold the company for a big amount of money.
You
2
might have
years
taken
later.
you should have
But
taken the equity.
But what he did was, he's like, okay, fair enough. I want to get involved in this podcast in some way. Tell me how. And I couldn't think of any others. Like, okay, fine. I could sponsor you. Tell me an amount. And I just blurted out 5,000 rupees per episode. He's like, done. I'll transfer 25,000 tomorrow morning. And that is how I got my first sponsor. And he sponsored me for 3 rounds of episodes. And it became a beautiful relationship that I cherish to date. But it all started because he saw value in something I was already doing, and he was like, I want to be a part of this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you already had a proof of concept as a thing.
Yeah, I already had a proof of concept, and more than that, I had this enthusiasm and curiosity that just came across very genuinely.
Yeah.
There was no making it up.
Yeah.
I was genuinely interested. मेरे को जानना था कैसे धंधा करते हैं, क्या बनता है, क्या, how do you
Mhm.
tackle,
Mhm.
how do you keep a few things, how do you build it with integrity.
Right.
Otherwise, in India, a lot of people have built a lot of things, but how do you do it with integrity? How do you do it with your values still intact?
Okay.
How do you do it in a way in which something like this, which is so controversial, couldn't be talked about, but still can be spoken about and can be a part of a conversation?
Right.
So I think that got communicated very easily.
Hmm.
And that is why sponsors have come to me from known and unknown places.
That's pretty insane and pretty impressive. So it is, and also this is very organic that I can see. Okay.
Yeah, this is 100%
100% organic.
Yeah. No fertilizers.
Okay.
Nothing, no nonsense to boost things up.
Hmm.
Just grind. Yeah.
That's what I like about you. And one of the reasons we are starting with you. And okay, so let's say ki you
Okay.
talked about me this story. You now if you want to host someone, or if there is a guy whom you are looking to, or you find someone interesting. Okay, it's XYZ person. So how do you decide ki what are you gonna discuss about? What is the theme, or is it purely random?
So I only decide and communicate the first question of my episode. And it's almost always the same. When I was interning with Seth Godin, he said something in passing that really caught my eye. It was like, what are the conversations around the dinner table? I liked it. And so I've used it. I thought I'll use it for the first 6-10 episodes, but I've been using it for all my episodes.
Okay.
I start with what were the conversations around your dinner table. And I like where founders take it. Some of them are like, Puneeth, there was no dinner table. We were sitting on the floor and having food. Some of them had very elaborate practices in their homes where the grandfather or the elder would share openly what happened through the day. And in some cases, it was just a quiet dinner. There was no conversation. And this would lead to their childhood. And from then, I can take it wherever I want. But the only thing I planned was the first question. Also, the benefit of this was that it wasn't a question that they're used to. A lot of people are like, okay, how did you start? What is your origin story? Where did you grow up? Tell me, how did you get this idea? But when I start talking about, hey, what were the conversations around the dinner table?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, wait,
Yeah.
this isn't like other interviews.
Yeah.
It's going to be much more casual, relaxed, and it sets the theme for the rest of the interaction.
So Puneeth, next question. What were conversations like at our dinner table?
So I grew up in a very huge joint family of Marwadis, and all of us had extremely loud baritone because we come from Koppal, and
Where is
typically
Koppal?
Koppal is in the north of Karnataka,
Okay.
a little towards the center, but towards the north.
Okay.
And in fact, it is sort of believed that Hanumanji took the Jadi Buti Wala mountain
I don't remember the
from
name.
Koppal.
Okay.
And Nizam's second capital after Hyderabad was Koppal.
Okay.
And Koppal is a very important part of the history of Ramayana and in Karnataka
Okay.
in general. So, because they grew up there, they were part of rice mills and everything. They have extremely loud voices. So we had really loud people talking at the same time. There was just commotion. There's no real dinner. And we would not have like a dining table. We would usually have a bajot or a sandali, like you said in Sindhi,
In Sindhi, yeah.
and we would sit down and we would have food. And that is how our childhood was. And I remember during my childhood, we had a TV. So we would watch all TV serials based on the order of preference. We would start from Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki, then go to Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, then go watch the Rajat Sharma's. And there would always be a battle. If cricket was on, and between cricket news and TV serial. The TV serial would watch, break time would jump to cricket, see the score, and then jump to news to see what was happening. And there'll be constant switching. While we're doing all of this, there'll be a fight for a remote. Kiske haath mein remote jayega? Between uncles, kids, you just constantly bicker around for remote. While all this is happening, the ladies were busy serving us food, and they would sit around us and have food. There was a commotion to just get through dinner. We never really had a conversation if you look at it, but we did a lot of things. And I really like moments where everybody would go quiet. Like if Sachin is batting, there would be silence. If Katie is crying, Katie Krishna Tulsi, in Kyuki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahut is crying, there would be silence. Or if there would be like Rajat Sharma, or back then there was even Subhash Chandra who had his own show of Z. And if he was having a show, then there was absolute silence because my dad was very particular that he wants to listen to what he's saying. But otherwise, there was no real conversation. There was a lot of commotion.
How big was the family?
My family still is huge. I think I have 29 first cousins.
29 first cousins?
First cousins, yeah. So if I have to do a typical Rakhi, I have 150 people in my house.
Oh, 150 people?
Yeah, because there are my sisters, my bhuas, my dadis, my dad's bhuas. And now they all have their own families, they have their own kids. So it's even bigger now. So you have a huge joint family.
So you might be getting a lot of money during
No, it's bankruptcy on the Rakhi day. Because
back,
you're done.
Back when you were young, so every festive event you will be getting money.
No, it's the reverse. Because in a Marwari family, you give to the daughter through the end of your life. So we had a lot of daughters in our home. So we would just give. And we still continue to give. And my grandmom was very particular about giving. Like if you would get 100 kgs of mangoes in a week from different orchards, 80 to 90 kgs would go. You have 10 kgs only. So from my childhood, I've only seen elders give to the daughters. Despite the daughters being way well off than us, there was always the practice to give them. The best goes to them. We manage in whatever is left. Yeah.
Okay. So that was a good conversation.
And it was out of love.
Huh,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
You
Not out of obligation.
You cannot expect everyone to give. That's nice. And what do you talk about now these days?
These days elections, IPL, the price of gold and silver.
Because
What's the next
you come
project?
from...
Yeah, I have a family business in jewelry. So we talk about what's happening in the market. What's happening in the real estate space, which property is sold where, what's happening, what are the rates going where.
So typical business, family business.
Yeah, family business conversation, marriage conversations, the next big thing in the family conversations. Yeah.
That's nice. Okay. So, how do you research for topic? Let's say ki you are bringing XYZ person. You got an appointment ki we are doing a show on XYZ date at XYZ time. Okay. Then what do you plan to talk about?
I don't plan anything, honestly.
Only the first
I
person.
sometimes, when an executive assistant asks me, I give them a pointer or two. Or the founders are a little nervous, I tell them a few pointers out of the top of my head. But I research everything about the founder.
A to Z.
There is nothing new that the founder can tell me that's not already out there. So I've researched everything. And I would like to, if you're starting a podcast, I would say research until the person is still exciting and stop. It's okay, you don't have to read everything, you don't have to watch everything, listen to everything.
Right.
Only till the point where it's still exciting enough for you. That bit is left.
Got it.
That curiosity is still there. I would do that. And after that, in my research, I would also naturally see where am I curious about, what do I want to know. And sometimes I would rely on gossip. What is the gossip about this person's company or something about them that the market is talking, but it's really not clear. Like it's a gray area. So I want to try to see if I can bring it up. That's there. And the other aspects of research is how I do the research. I don't go and Google the person. I in fact go to duckgo.com, duckgo.com, which is a search engine that doesn't have the ads and the shenanigans that Google has. So I go and research them, and when I put their names, I get non-SEO optimized content that has a lot of organic reach to it. So I get to see articles that are just not available on Google in the first 5-6 pages. I try to find their first blogs that a lot of founders have had this kida in them to share,
Hmm.
not for personal branding, but just to share.
Hmm.
And so they have some blog lying on Blogger or WordPress or somewhere or Wix.com that is still alive. They have
Okay.
forgotten about it.
Okay.
But it helps me build and see where is the journey of this founder been. How terrible was this? It's like Virat Kohli in 2008, 2009. He looked like a bacha from Delhi who was just an angry young kid.
Hmm.
But now if you see, he's like this bold, suave guy that knows how to channel his aggression and everything. But seeing that transition was extremely crucial for my research. I get to see where this person has come from.
Hmm.
That helps me relate with this person also.
Got
So
it.
DuckDuckGo is definitely one. I listen to all their YouTube interviews, all their podcasts. I don't do anything for entertainment. I don't watch movies. I don't do anything. I just read books, listen to them. That becomes my entertainment. I have free time. I'm stuck in Bangalore traffic. I'm listening to my next guest's interview with somebody else. I'm in the shower, on the pot. I'm reading about them and their articles. I'm sleeping to their voices while something is being playing. So I'm pretty much
20%.
their content is pretty much rotating in my head for a week or two.
Hmm.
And I like that stress of the scheduled time and date. It's like an exam for me.
Hmm.
So I like it. And the other part is I have a next 100 guests ready that I'm talking to already. Of course, there's always space for somebody new and exciting that comes in and I accommodate them.
Hmm.
But otherwise, I have a Google alert for all of them. So anytime they get mentioned in the news in any way,
Hmm.
I get to know it as an email the next morning.
Hmm.
And so that's beautiful because I am up to date with all of them. And because I have their personal number, I can find a way to engage them in some way or the other. I can connect them to somebody at the ground level that I know that could help them. Or I can connect them to another past guest of mine who can help amplify what they are trying to do.
Got it.
So there's always this sort of a mix that always leads to my research because once I know a founder, I put in 100 hours in your business.
Hmm.
Ikshit, I know your business,
Yes.
right? So for the next decade, I keep my ears open for you.
Got it.
And that is why I studied, because I know now I'm not making any money, but I know in the next 10 years, next 20 years, I'm going to make crores out of this relationship.
Hmm.
Now I'm asking you nothing. But tomorrow, like it happened with Nikhil Kamath, I knew he was looking for somebody, some techie, and he had put up a status, or his assistant mentioned to me on a call, I don't remember, but they were looking for a techie to develop the dashboard of True Beacon. So night 3:30 a.m., I sent him a text saying, hey, you know what, there's this tech wizard who's just out of a job, you should talk. And I connected to both of them. 2 days later, that guy was hired full-time to work on the dashboard of True Beacon. So these things happen all the time.
Right.
Because I once I understand your business, I am like a well-wisher that's always looking out
Got
for your
it.
business. If something is going wrong, I bring it to your attention. And I'm like an unfiltered guy. I say it honestly as is.
Hmm.
And if something is going great, I tell you, like, dude, this is amazing. Like, when Sirona's Deep Bajaj was one of my sponsors,
Hmm.
he had a factory filled with N95 masks.
Hmm.
And then COVID hit. And
Right.
he did not raise the price of the mask.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, it gives me chills even now. I'm like, respect. It is so rare to not make money off of this.
Hmm.
You could have easily added a zero and people would buy it, but you
Right.
did not. Kudos to you.
Hmm.
So I always keep my ears open for them.
Okay.
And that is also an incentive for me to research deeply.
Hmm.
There's also reverse search that I do. There is a website called LibGen. You
Can you
can
spell it?
LibGenesis, LibGenesis.
Okay.
And they have something called a Z library within them, in which it's a torrent website, so don't hold me against it, but there's a beautiful feature. I wish Amazon develops this. They have a book search, so you can search for books, but you can reverse search as well. You can put somebody's name, like I can put Ikshit, and I know all the places you've been mentioned.
Okay.
So some book that maybe Rashmi Bansal has written where you have a whole chapter on it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't get it if I search it on Google or Amazon,
Hmm.
but you're there, you have the whole chapter on it.
Got it.
Or there's something mentioned in passing by another founder who wrote his autobiography.
Hmm.
I read that and I bring it up in the conversation.
Right.
So I do all of these little things that add such depth to it. I also try and interact with either the guest's better half, their co-founder, their other half, their CXO, or their kids.
Okay. And
Yeah,
how do you
beyond
manage
that.
that?
How do I manage that? I ask.
Okay.
Like everything else, I ask, hey, can you connect me to so and so people? I'll talk to them for 10 to 15 minutes. But tell me, if I called you and I spoke to you about Jeep for
Hmm.
15 minutes, would you just talk about him for 15 minutes? You wouldn't.
No.
You spent good 20, 30 minutes.
Hmm.
And you tell me stuff that is not available anywhere.
Right.
And so that's a game changer. I don't use it, of course. In most cases, I don't use it. But every now and then, just dropping a hint that I know about something makes it very interesting.
It makes it
yeah.
interesting.
Yes, I do all of this for research and more. But these have been the go-to tools.
No wonder you are there where you are at this moment.
Thank you.
So it is really inspiring for me. Also, it's opening many pathways for me. What can I do for my upcoming shows?
Yeah.
Because I have a few shows lined up, but again, I have to scale it. I have to bring more people. So that's very important insight, and I think it's very useful for our listeners too. Okay, coming to my next question: how do you market a podcast?
I suck at marketing. And that is why almost always I tell my guests to do it for me.
Okay.
I tell them, please share it on your social media handles.
Okay.
And they do it, and then I see a spike. I get
Okay.
inbound messages from their fans saying how much they love the episode. I don't have my email out there, but somehow people find it and then they write long emails to me. And I get DMs on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Sometimes it is so good that the founder calls me and says, this person in my network wants to talk to you.
Okay.
And then I get calls from them. The founders end up connecting me to others. And that's how I've gotten to know a few editors of newspapers, because they're like, who's this new kid on the block? And this is a really cool episode. I should talk to him. They tell that to the founder, and the founder connects me to the person. And sometimes other founders who listen, who are in their audience, listen and say, hey, can I be on your show? And I love that. So I suck at marketing. I admit it openly. And that is why, if you see, my logo is still a 6-year-old logo.
Okay.
And I remember a branding guy had seen it in a conference. He was like, did your niece design this? I was like, no. I actually paid someone to do it. It's just like a round ring of yellow with a mic in between it and black. And there's like a black and white photo of mine that was done back in my MBA days. I haven't changed it. I mean, my marketing sucks. I get it. But the content is of the best quality.
Because
I've
in
tried to
the
do it.
last 1 hour.
Or whatever
Yeah.
we showed. I'm really impressed by you.
Thank you.
I listened to a few episodes, and I thought this is really good content. But in this 1 hour, it's reached from here to here now. The kind of insights that you have generated
Thank you.
for me, and hopefully for our listeners too, and the things that I can do from now on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's key. I was thinking this and now. The name is Bucket Podcast. So you have to fill the bucket.
Thank you.
With
As a little bone in your bucket, I'm happy.
It's not
Yeah.
both, it's pura oceans.
Okay.
So it was very helpful. But I think why don't you focus on? Have you tried different marketing? Have you tried hiring someone?
No, I haven't. I will be doing it this year. This year, my goal is to have 3 marketers. If you're up for it, hit me up. It's Puneeth Surana everywhere. I'm looking to hire them because now it's time to amplify what I'm doing. I know a system that is working. It's time to amplify it, take it to more places, more people, yeah, and more mediums. Video medium, content, long form blogs, short form tweets.
I think because I'm a marketing student, I work in business and for an MNC in India, and I think because of the what you have done, your research or insights, and if you market is, I guess you're already at a very good level. You can exponentially grow.
Yeah.
So we can see you in top 5-6 Indian podcasters in.
Technically, I am based on the
Okay.
number of episodes
Number
and
of
the length of
episodes.
episodes.
Okay.
But end of the day, people look at metrics, like
Metrics.
how many people listen to it. I'm like almost no one compared to everyone else.
Yeah, because they're marketed. They've got the marketing game.
Yeah.
We look at Ranveer, Raj,
Mm.
the way they have done it. I think you have
Yeah.
that content.
Thank you. I respect them a lot because they have gotten not just the marketing right, but also the consistency right.
Consistency is insane.
And
Yeah.
they have a production factory going for them, which is unbelievably hard to do. People do not see the backside. They think we're just sitting across
Serious.
this comfortable sofa in AC with lights popping and chatting away.
Legit.
There's legit this is the smallest part of the work that's been put in.
Serious.
Yeah, I'm telling like 100 hours, I mean, this is 2 hours only.
You know how.
You know how this happened. We met
Yeah.
in March.
Yeah.
We are shooting on 11th June.
Yeah.
We met in March. I wanted to start a podcast. We started figuring out the medium. Will it be online? Will it be
Yeah.
offline? Then budgeting came in. कि कितना पैसा डालना है? And then I was like, asking my parents, my friends, कि क्या, what should I do? They were like, if you're passionate, just go and do it and then see क्या होता है. Because it's a manageable amount. So just go
What
and
is
do
the
it.
amount? Tell it to your listeners, man. You're doing it for them.
And it's
Give them a range. I like putting him on the spot.
Range. What you can buy a decent phone from in this. range.
What's a decent phone?
What's a decent phone? It's somewhere around 20.
21.
What do you think?
20K
Huh?
per episode or for the whole
No.
experiment?
For initially, for the first episode. Then I'm planning कि चल ठीक है थोड़ा online करेंगे. Then I can get the mics and the other things.
So fancy setup like this costs 20K.
yeah. And this is
discounted. Not it's somewhere around. It's
Somewhere
bit less than
20K,
20.
but yeah.
Bit less than 20.
Okay.
So
Thanks,
including
Abhishek.
taxes and all. So but it's the setup is very nice.
Yeah.
We have to do nothing. We just came. We just recorded.
Yeah.
There are lights. There are cameras.
Mm.
So and this is one of the best things that we can get in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So and it's right across my home. It's not even a kilometer.
Can't get better.
Can't get better. So thank to Magic Studios also for
Yeah.
helping with us. For
helping us
Link in the
us.
description. Yeah.
Link in description. You can
Yeah.
also sponsor
Bigger
us
discount for the
upcoming
next 3
episodes.
episodes. Okay.
So
but
let's dig into the point.
It took me around a month to figure this out.
yeah.
And still, then also we have to prepare. I had to prepare कि मैं क्या पूछूंगा because I want to have a genre for first 5-6 episodes. कि I don't because then it becomes easier to set a proposition.
Yeah.
So right now I'm setting my proposition. A content creator who's starting out, and he also talks about content creation with experts, not experts necessarily, but people who are doing it and who figured it out to an extent. So this is my and it took me a while. So there is a lot of work because I remember we both coming here in this studio
Yeah, for checking it out.
for checking it out, and then we liked the studio. We also checked. I also checked pretty few other studios, and this was which I found the best. And the rates are almost at par.
Mm.
So let's go and book this one.
Beautiful. That's a
So-
brilliant testimonial for Abhishek to use. Yeah.
So yes, this was it. And where do you see yourself in upcoming 3-4 years?
Oh, exactly where I am, man. Rolling out podcasts, doing the best in trying to capture and celebrate Indian founders and their journeys. I don't see anything shifting. Maybe I'm hoping the impact amplifies, the reach amplifies. However, my approach, the amount of work I'm putting in will still be the same. I'll still be working 7 days a week. I'll still be putting out content every week. I'll still be getting guests that I'm curious about, interested in, and I'll constantly be learning. I don't see it changing, not just for 3 years until they burn me. Alive or dead is up to people, but until they burn me. I'm telling you, right? They'll have to literally take the mic out of my cold, dead hands. That's the plan. My exit strategy is death.
And you do not want
Venture out into some other aspect like business or
This is business.
no, but any
This is business.
create.
Acha, you said you wanted to create merchandise business.
Yeah, but that will be handled by somebody else. For me,
Actually,
my focus,
100%
my North Star
focus.
is this. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. We were really glad to have you, and I think as a first episode, we have done the job
Yeah.
what we wanted,
I-
and I think we were able to put really good insights, and we were rolling it out and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Puneeth. It
You're
was
welcome.
really insightful session, and we have something for you.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.
Cheers. Go make some Galata.
So thank you. Do some more Galata. Check out Puneeth, and also like, share, subscribe to our channel, The Bucket Podcast, and we'll be talking more for content creation for a while. Till we get good people on board, we get good learning, and we are able to move ahead. Thank you.